Hartley, are most of the people we were expecting here? Okay. Let's go ahead. Welcome everyone to this Virginia Theological Seminary Center for Anglican Communion Studies Forum on the Doctrine of Sanctuary and Current Immigration Law, the fourth forum of this academic semester. I'm Catherine Grebe and I serve as the director of the center. A very warm welcome to those in the room here and to those joining us virtually on Zoom and on Facebook. For those who are new to the Center for Anglican Communion Studies, we exist to resource practices of reconciliation. And we do that through three main strategies: equipping international community, empowering intercultural leaders, and enriching Episcopal Anglican identity. I want to give a quick plug for the center's newest initiative, the Companions of the Center for Anglican Communion Studies. Some of you know about this already. How many companions do we have in the room? Oh, yes. Good for you guys. If you're not a companion or want to know more about it, pick up a brochure or look for information on our Facebook page or our web page. It's a way to join in deep conversations like these about Anglicanism and to be offered exciting opportunities in return. We hope you'll consider joining the Companions. Since we know that not everyone can make these sessions, we are recording the session today so that others can access it later. I want to remind those in the room to please wear your masks when you're not eating or drinking. Our discussion today will go until 1:45 p.m. The forum today continues our year-long focus on the Anglican Communion and Latin America. We've looked at themes of colonialism, how that started, liturgy and enculturation, stereotypes of Latinx identity, the figure of Mary from an ecumenical viewpoint, and the concept of borders and immigration and border ministries on the borders. And today, we continue that focus on immigration and justice and injustice issues around that. I'm honored to welcome the Reverend Dr. Luis Barrios as our speaker and as our guest. Dr. Barrios is professor of psychology, criminal justice, and Latin American and Latino studies at John Jay College of Criminal Justice at the City University of New York. He's also priest in charge of Holyrood Church, or Iglesia Santa Cruz, in New York City. Dr. Barrios is originally from Puerto Rico and now serves the church and the world in Washington Heights. In 2017, this church, his church, Holyrood Iglesia Santa Cruz, made international news when they welcomed Amanda Morales and her two children into sanctuary in order to protect them from deportation. The parish under his leadership has sponsored now 3 different families, and has worked with local activists, union leaders, and other people of faith to advocate for sanctuary in other cities and communities. He is, as you might expect, a widely traveled speaker and is also widely published. He's co-editor of Gangs in Society, Alternative Perspective, co-author of Almighty Latin King and Queen Nation, Street Politics and the Transformation of a New York City Gang, to name 2. On our topic particularly, he's the co-author of a book called on deportees called Banished to the Homeland. He's presently working on a book studying the prison system in Ecuador and another book called Socio-Political Spirituality, which I hope we'll be able to return to later. We're looking forward to learning more about your work tonight, how we can support it and how we can learn more. Thank you very much for being here with us, Dr. Luis Barrios.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Bonsoir. It's a great pleasure to be here. I was waiting for an opportunity to come here before Luis Enrique came here, before Altagracia came here. So I was always looking for an excuse. And now they gave me the excuse. Thank you, which I welcome from the bottom of my heart. This is a very interesting topic, a very powerful topic that for me is very strong connected to my ministry, my passion. I'm a psychologist, I'm an activist, but ministry is my passion. This is what keeps me going. I bring into the pulpit the activism and the psychology, but with the social gospel of Jesus, which is very important. When they invite me in some way, they told me, talk about sanctuary and what future clergy need to know about advocacy for undocumented immigrants. And when I started getting lost there, I saw something like the Doctrine of Sanctuary and Current Immigration Law. In other words, I'm going to try to talk about all that. The methodology that I like to use when I'm doing presentation is that you need to share your question during my presentation. Just raise your hand and say whatever it is that you need to say, or you keep all your questions to the end. I don't know, whatever you think is going to be more helpful, okay? I want to build a foundation with two quotes. The first one is from the Bible, Matthew, chapter 25, verse 35. I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. This is Jesus, just in case you wonder. And the other quote is from someone who means a lot in my life, San Romero de America. 3 days before they killed him, in a homily, he said, this is the fundamental thought of my preaching. Nothing matters to me as much as human life. Human life. Because this has been one of the biggest issues in my ministry. For more than 40 years in ministry, I still have no idea what is the meaning of saving soul. And I want to get into that. I'm in the business of saving life. I'm going to let the other one to God. Okay? The same way that I do not get people into heaven or hell, I have no idea what's the meaning of that. I'm going to try to be happy here and now. I'm going to bring heaven to earth. I don't need to be happy. I'm sorry, I don't need to die to be happy. I want to be happy right now, here at this moment. Okay? So what led rise to this sanctuary movement? Well, here, every country have a different story. What is very interesting is that in the US, with all the atrocities that were happening in Central America, people started coming here to the US. There's a concept that I like to use, and I think it's very important that you always get this concept in a historical and social foundation, so you do not go into just dealing with symptoms, also dealing with the problems. And it's that something was going on in Central America that was pushing out people. And something was going on in the US that was pulling in. Of course, the pulling in my opinion, respond more to the reality that we are a capitalist society and we're always looking for cheap labor. We hate to say that, but it's the reality. And the pushing out, my friend, my brothers and sisters, these are not everybody. These are poor people, working class. Rich people do not want to come out. And when they do it for tourism, but they want to go back. But poor people, working class people, they come here in some way with this belief that this is the way to go, okay? So one of the things that for me, is very important, is one of the courses that I teach at John Jay College, is the understanding of USA foreign policies, especially with the issue of the Monroe Doctrine and the Manifest Destiny. It's not correct that that is in the past. No, it's not in the past. We still have the Monroe Doctrine. We went back to the Monroe Doctrine, very strong. And the Monroe Doctrine motivation is expansionism, is colonialism, is occupation, is imperialism. And the justification for all those kind of atrocity is manifest destiny. Do we want to invade people, their countries? No. Do we want to colonize country? No. Do we want to steal the resources of this country? No. Do we want to do regime change? No. So why we do it? Because God told us to do it. And when God told you to do something, my friend, if you do not want to have problem with God, do it. That is something very interesting. That the USA Congress can sit down and look for this nonsense of explaining or justifying oppression to different countries in Latin America. And that is still the number one reason why we're getting into so many problems all over the places in the world. You travel to Europe, and the recommendation from the State Department is do not let people see your USA passport. And then we go into this kind of ignorant question, why they hate us? You really want to know why they hate us? So, my friend, read the history of what is that we're doing with the USA foreign policy all over the places in the world. Okay, it's similar to someone say, okay, are we going to pray for peace between Ukraine and Russia? Say, no, I'm going to pray for peace in this whole war. It's a situation going on in Afghanistan. It's a situation going on in Pakistan, in Syria, in Libya, in Egypt. It's a situation going on in Haiti. It's a situation going on in Bolivia. It's a situation going on all over the places in countries in Latin and Central America. And there is this so-called, because we are in the culture of war. War against poverty, war against immigrant, war against crime, war. Can we find another way to describe whatever it is that we're going to do that can sound a little more peaceful instead of declaring war all over the place? So people started getting out in the 80s, massive, okay, especially with this Reaganomic situation. And they came here, but I'm trying to emphasize this because the Central movement in the 80s, they have an incredible way of also targeting USA foreign policy. The new sanctuary is not doing that. And when you do not do that, you're gonna go into dealing with symptoms. And you know, if someone have a headache, because you have a brain tumor, you take a painkiller, the pain is going to disappear. The pain is a symptom. But once the medication is not there in the body anymore, the pain is coming back. And most of the time we find ourselves dealing with recycling of theories, ideas, and ministry. And that is not correct. We're not going any place like that. In the New Sanctuary movement, we are dealing with the immigrants, yes. But I was in a place that they invite me. Well, they first committed one of the most serious mistakes. You never invite me to do a prayer if I become aware that you're trying to exclude me. Do not let Luis talk, just give him a prayer. Oh my God. That can be the most stupid mistake that you're going to commit, because I'm going to start. When I'm praying, I'm talking to God. And God, you know how the USA foreign policy is pushing these people out. And all these rich government say, are you a priest? Hey, I'm talking to God. Oh, they hate that, including the police. You know, I do that tactic when I do civil disobedience in New York City. When it's time to arrest, I go there to pray. Okay, the police have no idea what to do. They say, I can hear them say, let him finish praying and then we arrest. They say, are they going to finish? Of course, we're not going to finish. Okay, we go on and on and on and on. So, in other words, the challenges in the 80s, it was a movement, peace, solidarity, and attacking USA foreign policy. Challenges in the New Sanctuary movement, right now, is deportation. We are more concerned about how is that we are going to stop deportation. So how and why people come to the USA? We're supposed to know that, especially if we're going to get into this ministry that we call sanctuary. Because it's not correct that I wake up today in one of these countries and I don't know where the hell I'm going to scratch my umbilical, and I decided that I'm going to the US. This is a slow process. This is a painful process for different reasons, okay? The number one reason, doesn't matter whatever they want a propaganda tell you, because we have this propaganda, especially from Latin America, that if you're coming from Cuba, it's because you're running away from a communist party, okay? And if you're coming from another place, it's because you want to visit us. My friend, my experience dealing with Cubans, Venezuelans, Haitian, Colombians, Mexican, Salvadorians, and including people in my country, Puerto Rican, the number one reason is economic immigration. We know that for good or for bad, this is a country of opportunity, okay? And we can find better opportunity here. So yes, people make a decision. That do not mean that there are other reasons. Yeah, there's political reasons. That, by the way, the number one country with political reason, immigrants with political reason, is still Colombia. Okay, they kill you there. They don't play, especially if you are a journalist. A labor union, they kill you. They don't play with this. So, but then there's also people coming to this country because they're looking for better medical treatment. That's another reality, okay? And I have friends that decided to come into this country because in this country, there's more opportunity for LGBTQ brothers and sisters. In a lot of countries in Latin America, they kill you. They don't play with that. That is something wrong. And because there's something wrong, they're going to kill you. So, and then the ones that I really hate is the cultural immigrants. Who are those? I was doing a research, but then I stopped doing that research. Dominicans, drivers, taxi drivers, or working in bodegas, that in their country, they were medical doctors or lawyers. And they decided to come here. First, the status went down, and the salary went down, everything went down, and you say, so what the hell are you doing here? He said, I don't know. But I heard that it's a good place to be. That's the cultural propaganda. Because when people go there, they always give you the best version so you can come here. I was remember in the 50s when my uncles and my aunts started coming to New York and they started sending photos to Puerto Rico. They find this brand new car. They say, hey, take me a photo here. Okay, and then they say they have a key in the hands, like I'm going to open my car, take me a photo. And then they send that stupid photo there. They say, oh God, Tio, uncle is doing good. Look at that house. Look at that car. Look at that place where they're working. That's not yours. But that's part of the cultural propaganda, okay? That we are doing much better here. So how we in our parish started this sanctuary movement? Well, let me start by saying, different from some places where we need to sit down, we need to plan a strategic plan and how we're going to do this, and mission and vision and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. They told us, we have a family here at the airport. So bring them here. And we got them inside the building. Once they were there, that we need to find a place to live and sleep and eat. Okay, let's sit down. How is that we're going to do this? So we went from one place to another, but with no theory. We, in some way, allowed the praxis to produce how is that we're going to support it. I'm not saying that this is the best way. I'm not saying that you're going to minimize the problem. I'm saying set priorities. And the priority was you need to get this family out of the airport. They need a place to stay tonight. And they need a place to eat. They need a shower. And they need a lot of support because everything was different for them. That's how we started. And you can imagine the media was all over the places and someone coming from the diocese. Hey, the bishop gave you permission? He said, since when I need to ask the bishop permission to do my ministry? Oh, that's not correct. It's a strong possibility he's going to suspend you. He said, do whatever you want to do. I'm not asking you permission, okay? So they called the bishop. The bishop is in South Africa. And everybody's in tension in that diocese because the media is also calling there. And they called the bishop and said, we have a problem. What's the problem? This is the problem. And the guy who is telling me the story, they said, when I told the bishop that your church, you people got this family inside there, the media's all over the places, ICE is trying to get inside the building, and you put together some kind of protection so they do not arrest them. And well, we became very tough. We told ICE, if you dare to cross that door, we do not respond. Okay? And we do not respond what we're going to do because we believe in peace. But I'm going to break your head. That kind of stuff. Contradiction. So the bishops in the middle of the silence said, okay, and then why you call me? So you know that this is going in the diocese. Said, this is what every single church is supposed to be doing in the diocese. Now the silence was in the other side. Are you sure? I said, I'm the bishop. Tell Luis, tell the church, I'm sending my blessing. They're going the right way. Next day, everybody from the diocese was inside the church. He said, so you're here because the bishop say that it's okay? What about if the bishop say that it's not okay? If the bishop say that it's not okay, then that becomes a civil disobedience. Because I'm not going to take whatever it is that he's going to give me to stop this. In other words, we started and we were very clear. When I sit down with the board of the church, which is the vestry, they say, okay, this is a civil disobedience action. And let me tell you how far we can go. We can go into losing the 501(c)(3). But I had no idea why we have one, but we have one, okay? We can get ICE inside the church. It's illegal. They're not supposed to do it. But they've been doing that all over the places in the country because, that arrogant discourse coming from President Trump at that moment, they were feeling like we are protected, okay? You are protected, so we end up having people in front of the church protecting the people that were in sanctuary there. You're not crossing here. And something that always struck me was New York Police Department. They ended up calling me every time ICE was having a meeting with them. They were going to try to get inside the church to arrest the family. They said, they're going tomorrow, 6 o'clock. We were getting cooperation from NYPD. They say, this is not correct. This is not correct. This is not correct. And that's how we end up understanding it's a lot of people that understand that it's not correct. The other issue is how the church becoming a sanctuary brought places of worship, Jewish, Muslim, the Methodists, the Presbyterian, the UCC, and I don't know how many other denominations together to support our ministry. And they say, well, it's not our ministry, it belongs to all of us. And this is a parish that this is working class poor people, okay? And believe me, until this day, money was not a factor to say, let's close the ministry. Always the community responded. I always remember this woman, it's a Russian woman in that community, that one day she was saying I'm Jewish, another day she said, I don't believe in God. Okay, but going there every week, every Thursday, to visit Amanda and her family, hugging her, kissing her, and giving her $5 every week. 98 years old woman. It was like saying a prayer when she was coming in. I don't believe in God. I don't give a shit about this. You can go to hell, everybody here. I don't give. Oh, okay, Father, how you doing? Where's Amanda? Okay, then she doesn't speak Spanish. Amanda, I have no understanding of English. These two women, this young woman facing this old woman, the two of them smiling and touching. There's communication. This is compassion. They are connected. She always found a way how to connect. And I really admire that. So we brought the whole community into the sanctuary movement inside the church. And it's still the same. We got Amanda into relocation. Then we got a family from Salvador. We found a way to relocate them after 1 year. And now we have a new family there. One couple with 4 children, 4 daughters. We're still going. And we're still going and going. They're not supposed to work. They have a job. We're finding ways. There's good people in the community, okay, who find ways to do this. This is part of what we already learned. One is, this is a civil disobedience project. And in a civil disobedience, consciously, you break the law. You can't just go in front of a judge and say, I was not aware that there's a law that prohibits. No, you need to know that what you're doing for the government is illegal. But do not stop there. You need to understand that you never run away from the consequences. You face the consequences. Why? Because you're going to bring the whole system into trial. What you're doing is wrong, and I'm not accepting that. This is my contribution. The other is that it becomes some kind of political movement. And there's some people inside the church that say, we don't want to deal with politics. You don't want to deal with politics. Everything we do in the church is political. Everything. including when we make a decision that we're not going to give the communion, or we're not going to give the wine, or we're going to first take the one in the left side or the right side, or everything is political. And I learned from my dear Bishop Desmond Tutu, because everything is political, then you need to make a decision with what kind of politics you're going to deal. And that's where you need to make a difference. I am not a right-wing approach political. I'm in the left. I know that. And my congregation, they know that. Some of the things, they tolerate that. It's not that everybody there believe what I preach there, but they can tolerate me, because there are other things that bring all of us together. And I decided that if the government is doing something good, I'm going to congratulate the government. If the government is doing something wrong, I'm going to criticize. Doesn't matter. If you did the homework, you know that I was in federal prison because civil disobedience against the School of the America. And I became aware that I brought my whole family, my wife and my children, into that prison. And it was very painful. But I knew from the beginning. We sit down and say, I'm going to do it. Okay? I hope when I come out, I still have a wife. I know I'm going to have children, but I don't know if I'm going to have a wife when I come out, but she's a saint. She's still there. Okay? Tolerating all my nonsense. How white people come to the US, we discussed that. But then the big issue is if you dare to criticize USA foreign policy. This is the challenge. Or you're just going to go around the bushes and you're going to deal with the symptoms and not with the problems. Because the big issue in Central America, well, it's not only Central America, it's all over the place. It's the so-called free trade agreements. A CAFTA in Central America is killing the economy of those countries, especially Honduras and El Salvador. That's why most of the people that are coming into the US are coming from these two countries. NAFTA did it with the Mexican, and that's why you see that reality of those crossing the border. Because in principle, this so-called free trade agreement, they are excellent. But the reality is that the corporation become more richer, and we have more unemployment, and we have more people crossing the border. Let me share something that I think is very important, especially when you're deconstructing all these stupid things that they say about immigrants. Someone here knows how is that more and more we have less jobs for people in the US? Someone there to say something?
Because the immigrants are taking our jobs.
Oh yeah, that's preach, sisters, preach.
That's what we hear.
Oh yeah, that's what we get. My friend, the number one reason why more and more we are losing jobs is because this is a capitalist economy. In a capitalist economy, you need to create unemployment with all intention, because one, that decrease salaries, and two, that get us into competition. That when the owner of the factory tell you something, he can tell you or she can tell you, he says, don't fool around with me. I have 100 people behind you waiting that I'm going to fire you. Okay? And that's how they slow you down. So that is the number one. We have the capacity not for one job, create one job for every single resident, documented or undocumented in this country. We have the capacity of producing 2 or 3 jobs, but that is not going to help our capitalist economy. And the second reason is all these USA corporations are going into other countries. Any idea how much they paying in Haiti? Can't be a lot. No, it's not a lot. And the worst part is that the labor laws do not apply there because they are outside of the USA territory. They're paying $12 a day, 10 hours a day working. That's slavery. Okay? Slavery. They're not going to find that here. So they go there and they abuse and deal with the exploitation. There goes the nationalism that most of these people have. They're going to go there, take the job from here. So then what happened? Oh, they need cheap labor. Let those immigrants come here. My friend, the best solution to stop immigrants coming into the US is do not give them a job. And then they say, but we need them. Then shut up. Okay? Stop all those nonsense. And that is part of that reality. We need them. I know. So that's why they're coming. The other reality is, so you know that 85% of immigrants who comes into the US, they come through the airport. It's not the border. So why you always show me that border? So you know that we have two borders. Why you always show me the one in the south? Huh? Are you sending me a message? So you need to have a clear understanding of all this if we're going to get into this so-called sanctuary ministry. How we define, so we can go closer, sanctuary in our church. In the literature, sanctuary is about undocumented immigrants. In praxis, at Holy Root, we decided that we are going to define sanctuary as a safe haven, liberating zone. And with that, we say, and this is what we're doing. Okay, so we have a family living inside the church. But then you don't want to know the meeting that we have with homeless people. Say, why you get these people who are not from here a place to live and you do not give us a place to live? It's a damn. This is very interesting. Now homeless people are getting organized here and they call for a meeting. We believe in that. We empower people. They said, this is a serious contradiction. Well, it was a struggle with the vestry to get these brothers and sisters inside. He said, they sleep outside there. And the church is closed at 9 o'clock. They leave at 7 o'clock. We open the church at 8 o'clock. So what's your problem? And they're going to clean. No, we don't want them inside here because security and health issue. Okay, so they really tolerate me. I think they love me, okay? Because what I do is I leave the door unlocked, and they know that. Homeless people know that the door is unlocked, okay? They open the door, they close, they go to sleep there, they disappear in the morning. We have in Washington High the biggest distribution of drugs in New York City. That means we had the biggest drug users population. So we had this all over the place. People have overdose all over the places. How are we going to respond? So we say, this is a sanctuary for drug users. This is a sanctuary for homeless. We end up having a group of deaf people. I don't know. I'm still trying to understand how the hell they got here. Okay? They can't hear. But then we found someone for translation. And now everything in that church needs to be in English, Spanish, and American Sign Language. Everything. And of course, then the police called us and said, we have a serious issue in the community. We understood that it was more attack, crime against LGBTQ. And then we became aware, this is against trans. They're not going against the gay or the lesbian or bisexual. No. They were going against trans and especially young people. So we end up having a drop-in inside the church to protect them. This is sanctuary. And I have no idea what else we're going to add to this sanctuary. Some people still having difficulty with the way we define sanctuary. That is any group on a vulnerable person who is being oppressed or excluded in our society, we're going to produce safe haven. Amen. Ashe. I open the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Barrios. We now have time for about 20 minutes of discussion. I'd like to invite questions from the audience online in the chat and from those here in person. If you're in the room, raise your hand. Garrett will bring you the microphone. That way it gets into the recorded system. So even if you think you have a good loud voice, don't use it, use the mic. And if you'd rather, you can write your question down and pass it to him. He'll read it for us. We'll vocalize questions from the chat for us. We may not get to all of the questions, but we'll discuss as many as we can. Let me just say that you've talked about, I'm going to start with the first question. You've talked about how your ministry is a vocation more than a career. It's something that you feel God calling you to do. And I think I might just, you've also said that money has not been a problem because people want to support you. They give because they see what you're doing and they know it's important. I think that's the most effective form of evangelism, is to do something important and then people come, they want to be part of it. They want to support it. They want to be supporting it. But would you talk a little bit more about socio-political spirituality? You're going to be writing a book on that. What do you mean by that? What does that word mean to you? Do we want to move the mic at this point?
Thank you. Well, one of the issues that my bishop had with me is that I always say that I am into Wesleyan theology.
Into what?
Wesleyan.
Wesleyan.
Okay.
The world is your
Wesley
parish.
was not a Methodist. He was an Anglican priest. And he died as an Anglican priest. And his concept that really struck me was, and is still, social spirituality. He found himself in the street with a ministry of presence and service. And this is what we're supposed to do through this type of ministry. Presence, make a present where people are. But you come here because we are going to serve people, not that they're going to serve you, okay? For that reason, spirituality for me, and that's what I'm arguing in that book, is that it's a way of reconnecting with God and with God's creation. Everything that was created with God. That is spirituality. God gave us during creation one of the biggest responsibilities. Become co-creators, protecting and the continuation of creation. And in that responsibility, I need to find a way how to protect that creation. That means that I don't need to believe in God to be a spiritual person. And in my ministry, my particular experience, probably yours is different. Most of the people that I know who happen to be religious people, they're not spiritual. And I'm always scared. You see, Trump is very, very religious. Okay? I'm very scared of people like that. So I know a lot of people that they do not believe in God. They're very spiritual. And that is one of the issues when the bishop came in the last pastoral visit. He said, I understand that there's someone in the vestry that do not believe in God. He said, oh yeah, he practiced God. He said, I don't want to hear what the hell you have to say. Let's talk about something else. Okay. He knew where I was going. He practiced God. This is James chapter 2. Don't tell me that you believe in God. Just show me. Can you preach God with your action? That is the whole concept. So spirituality have social, political, cultural, emotional dimensions. So I need to cover all of them. And that's what I'm trying to do in this particular book. And that is what we try to bring into the sanctuary ministry. We like to call it ministry, okay? Mm-hmm. And when I say that ministry is my passion, it's because I understand I'm very radical in most of my theological positions and political positions. There are some of them theological that are so radical that I do not believe that ministry is a career choice. If you do not get a call from God, that's where my radicalism goes. If you do not get a call from God to go to ministry, get out of the way. You're going to be in trouble. Because this is a ministry where people are going to betray you, people are going to talk against you, people are going to let you there by yourself. You're going to find yourself a lot of time like Ezekiel in front of that valley of dry bones, that you're fighting with God and say, well, how I'm going, God? Are we going someplace here? And I've been there, and I know probably you've been there, that you think that I'm not going any place. God knows that you're going someplace. And that's when I trust God and faith is there. I'm a person of prayer. I believe in prayer, in the power of prayer. And we have a parish that the bishop said, you sound very evangelical with all this prayer thing. I said, oh yes, we always praying and praying, because it's very important. That is a way to empower people. But again, ministry, everybody here have a call from God. You need to become aware of that. But it can't be a career choice. If not, you're going to destroy ministry.
I bet there are some responses, some questions,
Or reaction.
or some reactions of some kind.
Thank you, Dr. Barrios.
Call me Luis.
Luis, thank you. My question is, you talk very helpfully about thinking about the difference between sanctuary and treating symptoms and treating causes, right? Which obviously treating symptoms is important as well as the causes. Can't do one without the other. I think it sounds like in your parish, you described it as poor and working class. How I wonder how you might see, and I'm thinking especially being here in Northern Virginia and in Washington, D.C., where many of our parishes, not all, but there are many parishes here whose makeup is probably includes a lot of people who are intimately involved with the causes of migration, right? Are people who are working in government, people who are working in the military industrial complex. So I wonder how might maybe in parishes such as these, what might you, I'm just interested in what kind of what that context does for thinking about this in terms of perhaps these places aren't going to tomorrow become a sanctuary parish and house an undocumented family.
Yes.
But how can those of us who find ourselves in places like this be obviously we can be preaching and teaching about specific things in American foreign policy that are causing these things, like what you said. But I'm just interested in what you might think about thinking about this ministry in the context of
Well, this is nothing new, no. I always remember Matthew and Luke dealing with these issues. That's why Matthew say, Luke say, blessed are the poor, because they're going to inherit the kingdom of God. It's a poor people congregation, and Matthew with a rich congregation say, blessed are the rich in spirit. Okay, I can accommodate the message. Okay, whatever it is that I'm going to do, I need to understand that there's a very clear message that goes to everybody. People with money, people without money, people in government position or whatever position is that they hold. I have a responsibility as a pastor to preach what I understand you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So I'm not going to accommodate the sermon. But there is a formula that I like to use, and most of the time function. I learned a long time ago with one of my mentors, never lose compassion for people. And compassion always is going to tell you, why is that you're going to say that? Why is that you're going to do that? Because sometimes I'm so angry, pissed off that I just want to say something that really hurt you. Where's the compassion? Okay, I'm trying to do this. This is going to be helpful. And that is like a break. Stop. With this sanctuary movement, ministry in the church, people who are supporting the ministry are from churches in the diocese, well, not only in the diocese, because it's also other denomination, with money. And we were very clear. They say, it's not that we don't know how to do this. We don't want to do something like that. We don't want to get in trouble with the government. We don't want to challenge people here, blah, 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 blah. But how can we help? It's okay. The family need to eat. Can you think that your congregation bring food? Of course. The family sometimes need a break with the children. You think people in the, of course, we need money, but legal aspect, medical aspect, clothes, whatever. Yes. So we end up having a collaboration ministry that we do not say that is Holy Truth, Santa Cruz Sanctuary Ministry. It's a group of places of worship that include Muslim and also Jewish. And then Roman Catholics, UCC, Methodist, Presbyterian, and Episcopal. I'm in the business of adding more people to the ministry, not excluding people. I'm always going to find a way. Like I learned that from reading one of the homily of Romero. He said, I was always mediating. And every time I was going to go to visit the enemy, he said, you know how I did it? I go all the way saying, these people need to say something that I need to hear. See, instead of blocking from the beginning, that you don't have nothing to tell me. No, you have something that I need to hear. So I'm going to let you talk to me. And I'm always going to find a way that, how can we do it together? I know we disagree. Okay. That is one of the tricks that we have when the bishop asking, how is that? No, now they're using the church as a paradigm for other churches in the diocese, because we made decision by consensus. And before I bring something heavy like LGBTQ, they told me it's not going to pass. It's not going to pass. It's not. I said, let's see. So I just used the thermometer. I went talking and I said, okay, there are some people here that I need to go one-on-one praying and talking. And what I got from those people, well, I don't believe in that, but I'm going to give you my vote. I'm going to trust you that we're going someplace. And when we approved that, that was the healing moment. That it was not any more consensus. It was facts, a reality. When they say it's approved, we're going to open officially the LGBTQ ministry. Of course, I told them, if you do not accept this, I'm resigning. So
No
they
pressure.
always no pressure, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when we approve, one of the person there says, no, okay, let me see if I understand. Now all these gay and lesbian, all these people, they come into worship with us. One of the leaders of the church, okay, 84 years old at that time, being in that church for 70 years, we always been here. That really struck everybody there. We always been here. It's just that took someone to talk about the issue openly so I can come out. Boom.
Yeah.
That was it.
Changes the conversation.
Yeah, everything.
Do you think it also helps to talk about things that were controversial in the past and that are sort of no-brainers now? I mean, think about the right of women to get to vote. It took so long for that movement to go through, or the civil rights movement. Sorry, the right of women to get the vote, or the civil rights movement. These took years and years and years to change the voting laws. And yet it's not controversial. Well, I don't know, voting laws, maybe I should, we're losing ground on that one, but things that used to be really big issues are not anymore. Does that help to talk,
Oh,
to
yes.
remind people about that? And we have to stop in a minute.
Yes, I think so, because it helped us understand that sometimes we can see ourselves in a situation that we think we're not going any place, and then boom, it happened. We are people of faith, okay? We are people of faith. We always need to remind that, but faith do not mean that I'm going to be ignorant and that I'm not going to organize my strategies and the best way to accomplish the goals. I need to put a lot of emphasis into that. One of the biggest issues is that we live in a society here in the US that it's always been a society of exclusion. I always like to remind people that the opposite to exclusion is not inclusion, it's participation. Show me how those vulnerables are in the group. Because someone can go and say, let's take a photo. And then someone from nowhere says, hey, wait. It's only men here. Got a few of the sisters here. That's inclusion. Okay, no. Show me how in the distribution of power we have this participation. And we always go into excluding with Native Americans, and then the 10 top books of the USA, of the America history. I hate to call it America because this is not America,
Right.
This is the US. They start with the 13 colonies. Hello, where are the French colony? Where are the Spanish colony? Where are Black people? Where are the Native American? So yes, we always find a way how to exclude. And always, the people who've been excluded, they always find a way how to deal with resistance. But always the oppressor have a way to criminalize resistance, always. So it came out when women were not allowed to vote. Okay, so they went into criminalizing all this movement on reproductive rights that go beyond abortion. Okay, it's more than abortion. Abortion is part of the package. But what about that? My body is not something to produce pleasure. I want to get pleasure with my body also. So yes, all this kind of reality. And then they did it with Black. They did it with Latinos and Latina. Until this day, nobody wanted to talk about the contribution of Cesar Chavez. At the same time that Martin Luther King was raising hell here, Chavez was doing the same, but it's invisible. It's the same when we talk about the fathers of the country, and where are the mothers of the country, okay? What happened with that history that is there? It happened with the labor union. That's why Howard Zinn, for me, is the #1 book if you really want to know about this country. A people history of the United States. He started with the
Howard
Native-
Zinn,
Yes.
Zinn.
Yes. a people history of the United States, not American history. What the hell is that, American history? You're not going any place with that. So that kind of things, the LGBTQ movement, okay? You have all kind of reality that are, in some way, they make invisible. The immigrant movement, which is part of the sanctuary. And this is a country that, when it comes to deal with exclusion, and that's why I always concern about churches that they don't have a youth ministry, because in some way in this country, young people became the scapegoat generation. And it's been very oppressed, very excluded. We understand they don't have nothing to give into this society. They have a lot to give, but they're going to change everything.
Mhm.
I did
Yes,
it in my
And that'll
time.
be good. I've got to take this
Yeah.
microphone
Yeah.
away from you. I'm sorry. Thank you very, very much. Our next event is tomorrow night. We're showing the film Romero, on the eve of the anniversary of his martyrdom on Thursday. There's a chapel service that will commemorate it in the morning, but you might want to see the film if you haven't seen it in Aspinwall 101 tomorrow night at 7. And it remains to just thank our speaker one more time. Thank you so much for your words and your wisdom.
Thank you.
Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.